Hey everyone, I'm here with a dear friend of mine, Joshua Kissi. It's awesome to have you here. And he's an incredible photographer, influential in the creative world here in New York City and beyond. He's also a member of our church, recently got married to his beautiful wife, Meg. Congratulations. And we're here today to talk about the area and the topic of influence. In our current Rabbi series in C3NYC, we've been talking about salt and light. It's so cool that Jesus calls us to be salt and light. And so every single person has the capacity to influence. And I love that we're talking about influence, Josh, because you're known as an influencer. That's like the hot topic of influence. But I love how you use your influence as well. And so would you just give us a bit of background of how you kind of got into this world of social media photography, creative world, and a bit of your backstory?
For sure. So I started out when I was 18, picked up a camera, and ever since I've been able to connect with people through the camera. And when I think about influencer, I think it's more about how you treat people rather than the follower count or the interactions. It's like, do you comment and reply back to the comments? Do you have conversations in DM? So I think in a traditional sense, like I don't have my career and look at it as an influencer career, but at the same time I have influence. And I think that's just having impact over people's lives in some shape or form. So, and that's true, that's through art and creativity. So I think there's the traditional influencer who's every day looking at logistics and insights and numbers and how to reach more and more people. But I just look at how do I impact the people that I have and have it grow from there.
And that's where you kind of got started. You grew up in the Bronx?
In the Bronx, yeah. Born and raised in the Bronx. Started Street Etiquette, which was a really, really popular blog and Instagram page.
And where did the heart come from, like with Street Etiquette? Like what
me and Travis, I mean, we just wanted to tell stories that we felt weren't being told, especially in Black and brown communities. Growing up in the Bronx, we're just like, we're not seeing this out there. How do we create that? And we had no idea it would be just bigger than ourselves. Like every work that we've done with Street Etiquette, every notable thing, it's been because it was bigger than just us. It wasn't just because of us, it was because of the movement or people we represented. So that was kind of the values that we unconsciously kind of had within our agency and company.
Love that. So you just finished a huge Nike campaign.
Yeah, that was fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But would you ever think, wow, my stuff would be, firstly, working with Nike, but then on like massive billboards across the country and across the world? Like, how's that been in terms of that level of influence?
Honestly, it's been amazing. Like yesterday I went to a talk where I was just sitting in the back of the room, and it's like a industry talk about how to get kids who from 18 to 24 into the advertising industry, into the creative industries. And they pulled up the photos I took for Nike, and one of the kids was like, I was walking down 34th Street, I saw that, and I showed my mom, like, this is beautiful, this is us. I feel so represented. And I had no idea, so I was just in back of the room like, wow, look at the impact you could have on a macro level when you're able to stick to your guns and do something that's beautiful and that impacts people more than yourself. So it was surreal. It was surreal, and I think the way I like to kind of guide the photo shoots I have or any shoots I have is in the beginning, I want to kind of recognize everybody in the room and why we're there and the important part about it. Beautiful. Like, let's not treat anybody halfway. Let's treat everybody filled up. We're all here. We all have a craft to represent. So it's not like people are trying to earn this respect and earn kind of this like validity within the industry. I'm just like, you're here, you're present, and you're going to do great. So let's just recognize that within each other. So very much try to set the tone, because a lot of the industry shoots could be really just hard, intense, and anxiety driving. And I was just like, no, I want to kind of break all that and just have a place of freedom on set. I think it was always about community. It was always like, and even at times where it's like, oh man, again, like, this the pastor kid syndrome where it's like you're always thinking of other people before your own family, and like growing up around that, but always using it as a tool to like how I navigate, but as well as see the rest of the world. So that was I just had a conviction to tell stories that felt like weren't being told. And there's just no like mathematical, like, I guess, template to it. It's just a feeling, and I guess that's like what God imparts on us.
And so with that kind of idea of storytelling, it seems to be that's like core to you.
Absolutely.
And where did you pick up on that? Like, where do you see the power of story?
I think the power of stories, I mean, it's in the Bible. It's in like we're literally going over scripture, learning from people who've lived life in a way in a certain spirit, in a certain energy, and I think it's important to like take note of those things. And we're still thousands of years later referring to those same scriptures and stories. It's all storytelling. So I think, you know, if I could add on chapters to what that looked like today, what would that look like? And I try to like kind of create stories around that.
It's kind of like the book of Acts is the only letter that doesn't finish, because we're continuing that now. And so when you think about the continuation of the story of God's grace and God's love in, say, New York City, what do you feel is happening in terms of your influence and the trends that you're seeing? Like, how do you connect grace, this story of Jesus, to the world that may think it's not relevant? Like, what are you seeing there?
I think it's interesting because right now we're living in a time where people are ready and open for a connection, a spiritual connection. They may not know where it's coming from or how to go about it, but people are more and more open to it now, whether it's because it's in popular music or in politics. Like, I think the idea of God, the idea of Jesus Christ or a higher being is becoming more and more relevant to people to think through, like, what does this mean to me though? Like, I'm seeing this on TV, I'm seeing this, like, you've grown up in proximity of it, but where's my introduction to it? And I think more and more people, especially in New York, fast-paced environment, very tense at times, very creative and very inspirational, but at the same time could be a very lonely place. So people are trying to find community any way possible, and I think it's more and more easier to do so because of churches like C3, honestly, just having a true introduction to what humanity could look like. And there's nothing like walking into C3 or that type of heart of people, because like the happiness is contagious, the love is contagious, and like that's how it spreads from person to person. And I think that's like really important to kind of impart on the rest of the city.
Love is more contagious than
love
fear.
is more contagious than fear. Like, that's literally what you get every time you walk into an environment like this.
And so now is the time to truly live out these words, like be salt and light. Talk to me about light as a photographer and just your experience with light and how important it is. What does light mean to you?
Wow. I mean, it's so much. Light means, I'm a light chaser at the end of the day. That's my job, is to chase light and to express stories. There's something special about that, because that's like every day a blessing for the light to come up and the sun to come up, and for us to either, you know, artificially do that with like in studio lights or shoot outside. And I think providing a light to darkness is super, super important. And that's what I try to do through storytelling. And the camera's only like the instrument. Like, it's really not about the camera. It's really about people's stories. It's really about humanity. It's really about showing like God's grace and light on all people. And that's what I try to do through my work.
That's so interesting. I love that. It's so similar to like church. We get so fixated on the instrument, or the tool.
It's not the instrument.
But rather than the person that we're focusing on, or the other person behind the camera. How have you kept that? So it's actually about humanity. It's about people. It's about storytelling. As the fame, the influence increases, how have you kept kind of free in that influence?
I think I just try to be present. Try to follow the ideals that I think are what made me be the person I am today. And this is a weird thing, like, whenever I feel like I'm hitting more and more success and I share that with people, people also feel a part of it. And that's when I know I'm doing it the right way. So it's not like, let's put Joshua Kissi up here, but more so like, he's doing it so I could do it. And I feel like when your story is bigger than yourself, you know, you're like dreaming big, because it's opening doors for other people to also have the opportunity. So that's always like the benchmark that I'm going back to. Like, is this bigger than just me? Like, if I'm just in this room by myself, then like, what does it really mean? But how do I open this opportunity up for kids like myself growing up in the Bronx that never thought I'll be able to create a career off of chasing light and expressing stories, and kind of doing that for the past 10 years. It's just been like an ultra blessing.
It's incredible. Even though you're super successful and influential and known, you never come across in an intimidating way. And I find that fascinating, because a lot of people as influencers or people that get fame or at that level doing a Nike campaign, how have you kept that humility while still having influence? I find that combination just fascinating.
A ton of people say that to me. I don't get it, because I'm like, this is just my makeup. You know what I mean? I don't know how to be any other way. But I also think it's coming from Ghana, we're very reserved, respectful, manners mean everything. You treat
So that's how you were raised?
Yeah, that's how I was raised. Like, you treat everybody as you would want to be treated. And I think that's been reflected in my childhood to now. Like, that humility, that act of, like, not just about you. And humility is also comes with power. And a lot of people get it misconstrued, because it's just like, they think humility is just like this docile, like
weakness.
And it's like, no, it's choosing the moments when to be strong, but it's also choosing the moments when to listen.
It's like, it's so just in humans. So it's like the image of God is already there. And that's like, speaking of the salt and light message, it's like, as a culture, you've preserved something that's always been there, even if you knew it was Christian or not. I think sometimes in Western Christian culture that can be predominantly white, it's like we have somehow the monopoly on the power of being present, or the power of relationship, or the power of community. But I think if we think about coronavirus and we think about what's going on, one thing that I think is really fascinating is we might, as a culture, American Western culture, might start to value the freedom that we have to build relationships and community, because it's being taken away from us. What would you say to that in terms of what you're seeing already happen?
Yeah, it's been tough. And I think there's an opportunity to kind of commune with intentionality. And I think there's a lot of convenient, like, you know, just I'm around this person because it's convenient. So whether we live in the same neighborhood or like, I think there's an opportunity to be more intentional and genuine in a way why we surround ourselves with people.
Yeah, that's great.
I was just telling my friend, one of my best friends last night, I was just like, like, you live life, and like the opportunity is to either impact or influence people that you have in your life. So every opportunity that you have, a friendship or a relationship, is like be present in it, because it's a beautiful thing. It may last a long time, it may last a short time if you meet a stranger, or like, I just always think that there's a beauty of like coming into contact with somebody. Because it's not just about the physical contact, it's the spiritual contact of like sharing a story, whether it's an Uber driver or a lady on the subway or whatever it is. It's just like you have the opportunity and a gift to meet somebody else that God made. Like, but I think it's an opportunity to operate not in fear but in love. And looking at that as a way to redefine what we think is community, because we're around people, we're on social media, like we're interacting all the time, but like, how intentional is it?
How can we use our social media in a different way, and do you see it changing because of this? You
know, just living in America, living in the Western, like, there's always going to be some capital gain. Like, somebody's going to figure out like how to take advantage of the fact that everybody's home. Like,
exactly.
With the algorithms and everything else, like, there's going to be some sort of idea that comes to the forefront of just that. But on the other personal side, I think there's an opportunity to think around community online. And it feels like a weird movie. It feels like a weird episode of Black Mirror or something, where it's just like, you know, you're rethinking what community means because of some fearful outbreaks. So I think it gives us the opportunity to rethink around community online, whether it's new trends or new social media platforms or new ways of communicating, especially in New York, which is like a community-based city. Like, it's all about the people.
It's so true. In an uncertain time, how can we use our influence to be salt and light?
Wow. When I think of salt, I think of preserving, and I think preserving relationships, preserving intentionality, preserving, like, those are the things that make humanity go. There's never been a time where you could redo things, and I think that's the beauty of life, and that's the freedom and grace that God gives us. But even in moments like this where you may feel low, that there's going to be a peak at some point. And I think whether it's political environments and disco, like, everything just feels very hazy for people. And I think people are trying to find a reason why. And it's so hard, because like, God doesn't always just give you an answer because you want to answer. It's just like, just believe in him, like, believe in the walk, like, believe in the walk and journey. And I think that's what I advise people, like, continue to be you, you know, just evolve and like add on to the layers of what you've been doing and what you believe in. But what can we do from a storytelling perspective that would impact people positively right now? What tools can we pick up and start building around this to have people just feel a little bit more love, if anything else, just like, just heard and felt. So I would encourage anybody else out there to kind of think what they have in their tool bag and what they could kind of build to make people feel more loved and present.
Yes, that's so good. We can so easily just feed into the machine and add to the fear narrative, or we could really shine and preserve and really value each other. Again, like, okay, the fact that even as a church we might have to not meet for a season or different things like this just makes us think maybe we should value Sundays more or value getting together more, because often like, oh, I can't make it, or I'm busy, and it doesn't become a priority. But I think the idea of not being able to get together and influence each other in the same room, maybe this can actually, when we can get back together, help us to value each other.
That's an amazing point, because I think people are getting comfortable with podcasts and like live sessions, and like that's amazing, but I think it's gonna make us really, really appreciate actually communing together. Like people are gonna be running towards the church line. They're gonna be like, okay, how could I like there's a service today? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
like
there.
Imagine
I need human contact.
Exactly, some type of human contact, spiritual contact. I'm like, it shows that we kind of need to be present.
Let's celebrate when we get back together. Yeah. I think that's the enemy obviously is feeding into this, but I think because we've become so online, so isolated, streaming, entertainment, phones, just caught up, maybe God's going to use this to get our attention, that really what's most important is that human contact.
So true.
Take it away, almost like you take it away from a toddler to show them, hey, this is what's really valuable.
Wow. Yeah.
So, man, Josh, just want to say thanks so much for who you are, for you and Mac, for what you do in our church. But just the influence you bring to New York City and beyond. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
I hope you're encouraged. Continue to be salt and light. Let's be the church. Let's shine bright in this time of fear. And remember, God is faithful. He is with you. He is present. Let's value each other even more. We love you, church.